Enclosed car shipping is more expensive than open car hauling because you're hiring a carrier to take care of your car for the entire journey, inside a trailer that's fully enclosed, protecting your car from random, dangerous elements of the road. Race cars, luxury cars, exotic vehicles, and power sports, it only takes one bouncing rock on the highway to ruin your whole car shipping experience and doubling or tripling the cost of what you should have paid. Why take the risk? Please say hello, join the live chat, and feel welcome. This is ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where everyone learns more about how the automotive industry works. My featured guests tonight are Michael, Eugene, and Dean with Car Haul Direct. Gentlemen, can you see me and hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Yes, on both.
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. I'm just going to click a couple buttons here. Do me a favor. Let's start with Eugene in the upper left. Please say hello. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name is Eugene. I am Eugene Gurevich. I am the co-founder and chief operations officer of Car Haul Direct. I come from the world of finance. From 3 or 4 years ago, I got into car hauling by force of sheer accident, and found this to be an exhilaratingly exciting industry. Sometimes in all the wrong ways, and sometimes in all the right ways. It really depends how you look at it. So we've been on this ride ever since with my good friends Michael and Dean, and excited to be here.
Great. Thanks so much, Eugene. Michael, please say hello. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure. Well, I mean, as Eugene said, we both come from a world of finance, and as I usually do, I blindly follow Eugene into this, and it's worked out pretty well so far. It's been quite a ride, ups and downs, but trending up. So it's like, it's a bit of a roller coaster, but of the fun kind. Definitely a very interesting industry, definitely a lot of potential, and we are, very much looking forward to being a large part of it for a long time.
Thank you, Michael. And Dean, welcome back. Please say hello.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be back, Jay. Yes, Dean Xeris, Executive Vice President of Business Development for Car Haul Direct. Longtime industry veteran, been in the car hauling business for well over 20 years. And was really, when I met up with Eugene and Michael, could tell they were building something special here, a company that I know that could be disruptive in a good way, especially as it relates to dealers and their challenges and their needs. And so excited about this conversation tonight. Hope we inspire some folks and bring them the Car Haul Direct way.
Perfect. Okay, so we're talking about enclosed car shipping. Who wants to start out with what is enclosed car shipping for anyone that doesn't know?
Sure. I mean, happy to tackle. I mean, as the name would suggest, the vehicle is placed within an enclosed environment, a trailer of some sort. Obviously traditional car hauling has always, for the most part, been open transport, where the vehicle is exposed to elements, whether it's weather related, whether it's debris related. And so when you look at the enclosed opportunity, it protects the vehicle away from these sorts of elements. But at the same time, it's very important that you select the appropriate enclosed carrier to make sure that that vehicle is being secured properly. But that's, in a nutshell, what that type of service will provide you.
And I know, that should be obvious, but there may be a few people that aren't really sure. There could be a shipper watching. So what are some misconceptions about enclosed car shipping? And what I'm getting at is, it seems like most people that know about car hauling, know about open car haulers, and don't realize enclosed car haulers, because guess what? You can't see the car. It's enclosed. You don't know what they're hauling. So why would, yeah, tell me something that people don't know about enclosed car shipping that they are getting wrong.
So I think one thing that people get quite wrong quite often is they think that enclosed car hauling is always super expensive. And it doesn't have to be. So obviously there is a premium that you're paying because you're getting door-to-door service. But also, just from a little bit of a insider knowledge playbook here, the trailers that drivers are using, that carriers are using, are not as expensive as I mean, some of them can be, but not always, right? As expensive as the open trailers. So for that reason, yes, there's a premium, which is quite, as if you ask me, is quite worth it, because instead of waiting for the, for 12 other cars to get dropped off, you're typically getting door-to-door service. So especially if it's a good route and you happen to be working with the right broker or the right carrier at the right time, the premium might be 20-30%.
I'm glad that we just talked about that. So I was a dispatcher a long time ago, and there were times, many times, that I would hear somebody say, "Can you make sure that my car doesn't go on the bottom or the top or the back or whatever?" And I'm like, you are headed down the road of hating what you're doing. If you're asking any questions like that, get enclosed. Soft top, whatever. I mean, what are some of these vehicles that they're trying to do it cheap and they really shouldn't?
God, I mean, you want to talk about anything from a collectible, a rare car, a sort of extremely expensive, anything that probably costs over $60,000-$70,000, I would say automatically is a candidate for enclosed, because there is a dirty industry secret, which has to do with insurance, and we can talk about insurance for a long time. But if you're placing your $60,000 Mercedes-Benz coupe on an open trailer, and you haven't checked what the limits are with the carrier, you're literally playing Russian roulette with your vehicle, because if God forbid something happens along the way and the inventory that's being carried is totaled, you may very well never see and get full recovery of the price of your vehicle. And so enclosed, if you're doing it with the right partner, such as CHD, sorry for the little promo there, I had to throw that in.
It's all good.
Yeah. If you're doing it with the right partner, who, for example, can show you and demonstrate that the insurance is more than adequate to cover your vehicle, that alone makes it completely 100% worth it. Not to mention the fact that, again, your wait time and your visibility into what's happening along the route, as well as when your vehicle is going to get delivered, is so much greater.
Anybody have anything to add? Because I've got something I want to add too.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo the insurance aspect here as well, right? Especially with high-end cars. I mean, Eugene mentioned the $60,000-$70,000 cars, which obviously are expensive. If we get into $500,000 and and $1 million cars, that's an entirely different ball game. And there, you should look. Well, you should get insurance just to make sure that, God forbid, something happens. Not, it's not with carrier's fault, but something hits your car, meteorite strikes it, right? So, but if you actually have the additional insurance, you're still fine, most likely, unless there's explicit coverage that says no meteorites.
Yeah, we don't want an extinction event with your car for sure.
Dean, did you want to add something too?
No, I mean, I think we covered it. I mean,
Okay.
It really comes down to are the consequences worth the cost of transport, and when you start thinking about, to Eugene's point, if it's a total loss and you're completely on the outside, and if you'd only spent that extra, let's say, $300, $400, $500 that could have
Yeah.
saved you all of that anguish. And I think our team does a really good job of really making sure people are thinking through things 100% so that they understand, hey, that extra premium, it's providing this level of protection for me. So
Yeah, I'm glad. So that's the thing. I think a lot of shippers think that they're going to spend like two more grand.
No.
no, not at all. And it
Wow.
really,
Right.
it's all dependent upon the route, et cetera, et cetera. But from a percentage premium standpoint, maybe 30, 40% more, something along those lines. And it also depends on what level of service they want from an expedited standpoint. There are a lot of other layers, but when you look at the baseline comparison of open to enclosed, it really isn't that significant for the protection you get in exchange. And that's a big delta in our opinion that, would you want to be, put something valuable on the top of your car and go driving down the interstate, a beautiful vase or, or a,
Yeah. See.
grandfather clock, or would you rather have it in a crate that, is protected from the elements? I mean, that's what's happening when a car is going open transport. I mean, it's as if you're driving it down the road and it's subject to the same conditions as if you were driving it.
I, that's what I can't wrap my head around. Number one, I mean, I don't know how many times I've driven locally and I'm trying to dodge rocks coming off trucks.
Yeah.
And I haven't even gone anywhere.
Right.
So I can't imagine. The other thing is that, yeah, I've seen 3-car haulers being paid to load up brand new Ferraris and stuff. That it's a wedge trailer, it's completely open. I'm like, what are you doing? Even if you're only going 20 miles, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I'll
Why?
tell you, to your point, I mean, if it's coming off a dealer lot and it's going onto a wedge or any type of open trailer configuration, until that car arrives at the customer's doorstep, that dealer is still involved in that transaction. And God forbid it shows up with nicks and scratches because of what it encountered in debris. Is it really worth that customer's goodwill for a few $100s more to ensure that it's going to be delivered in the condition that it was on the showroom floor?
How many high-end customers, first time and probably only time, are watching their new Ferrari delivered off of an open wedge trailer? Not everyone's going to notice, but some are going to be like, what?
More often than you think, yeah.
And
yeah.
One
And
of the
once-
things... Yeah, go ahead. Eugene. No, Eugene.
No, I was just going to say, just from a point of view, like we mentioned, Michael and I come from a finance background, and so we think about risks a lot. And one of the reasons we got into this business is because we just noticed that the risks that are apparent to us from being now industry insiders, people are completely ignoring, or they're just, it's kind of like a shut your eyes and bury your hand in the sand kind of strategy. If you're, like you said, if you're loading up a brand new Ferrari onto a open wedge trailer, you're taking risks that you cannot afford. And the risks are going to reflect on your brand image. They're going to reflect in the goodwill that your customers are going to have if you're towards you, if you're a dealer. And quite honestly, if they ever do any business with you, so you're saving $400 or $500 maybe. Okay, for a Ferrari with insurance, maybe you're saving $1,000 on the shipping costs, but you're not gaining anything in terms of your risk management is just horrible. You should be fired for doing that. I'm sorry, if you're a logistics manager and loading a Ferrari up on an open wedge.
I think everything's on the table because that's where what I'm wondering, do they not know? Because I can't understand. We're in a business where, yes, the value of the vehicle is paramount. I mean, right? Remarketing is dedicated to putting the most value back in a vehicle. So why reduce any value with any paint chips or any possible damage? That makes no sense.
There's also like another, I guess, point to building Eugene's and mine and his, extreme paranoia about risk management. Also, the quality of the drivers you normally would get one to drive the enclosed ones or one to drive the open ones is also different as well. So that factors into the equation partially as well. So the guys who normally do the white glove deliveries, they're, I don't want to say better caliber, but they're basically more trained, they have more experience, right? They're less likely to take your car for a joyride with their girlfriend kind of thing.
So, and
you're really making me feel the pain right now.
well, I know Ferris Bueller's car was just in the news again, which is the classic example. And listen, we all have friends that are car haulers, and car haulers are a hardworking group. But then there's guys that just started and they're, who knows. But if you're dealing with, like, every time I see like a Rolls Royce Ghost or a Lambo, and it's just posted randomly open. I'm like, what? How is this possible? Over and over and over, and then you call and they're still negotiating like it's a used Honda. I'm like, what? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just really comes down to just a lack of understanding. They're so focused on saving a couple, pennies that will end up costing them many, many dollars, and not really kind of broadening their understanding of those circumstances by, going the cheaper route. And that really, quite frankly, everything we're talking about here is very dollars and cents driven at that decision point. Enclosed costs X, open is going to cost X minus something, and
exactly,
so you get sort of tunnel vision, not realizing that, like everything we're saying here, your customer goodwill is at risk, your reputation beyond that customer is at risk, and it. So, yeah, I think it's just lack of awareness or a willingness to just understand that there is a value exchange between what you're spending on the transport costs. And one other thing I'll also echo what Michael mentioned about the carriers. The enclosed typically are dealing with higher value vehicles. I mean, as you said, Jay, the open transport carrier community, very solid drivers in just their own right of driving that equipment, handling the cars. But it does kind of, when you go to the enclosed carrier world, it gets stepped up a little bit only because of the value typically of the vehicles that are going enclosed, whether they're, the Ferraris that we've been talking about, but also the one-of-a-kind collectible, vehicle that could never be replaced, and that one even, increases the stakes even higher.
Right. And I'll follow it like Mecum. If you go to Mecum auctions and you buy this one-of-a-kind thing, it's always enclosed.
Yep.
They only work with enclosed carriers. There's a reason. It's not because they got a good deal or what. I mean, there's a volume deal, but these are all high-end vehicles in enclosed carriers, which brings me back to what I want to say is that back to the open carrier. When you ask, let's say you finagle, all right? You finagle with a carrier, please, 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 top load it, move it on backwards, and they may do that when they pick it up, but they're going to move it again during the trip.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And people, how do you not? Well, you don't know that. We're telling you they're going to move because they got to play Tetris on their pickups and deliveries.
And they're not worried about your specific car. Like they have other cars on their load to manage, and rightfully so. They're treating each car as being equally important, and it's a difficult job. Like to the point that you were making, the people who are working in that in that role, in that position, are really doing a super tough job, and it's not their job to make sure that your car, just because you asked, is going to end up on the top shelf, right? They're going to take care of all the cargo the best they can.
I'm going to give another. Dean, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say some of it's even out of their control, and they're trying to balance their loads on their trucks and making sure they've got cars and trucks, properly positioned, especially if it's an 8 to 10 car hauler, which goes back to the carriers that we predominantly use. We have strategic partnerships with well over 30, and they run trailers, which means, it's a ground load, ground unload. The vehicles typically travel by themselves. Maybe there might be another vehicle on there with them. So again, the vehicle is placed, and it's the only other time it's moved is when it's being delivered.
I just wrote down a couple of things. Okay, one, here's another good analogy. If you're moving your china, your precious wedding china that you got 25, 40 years ago, each dish is delicately put in something and delicately stacked. Not on an open carrier, they're just stacking your dishes and putting it on the truck. Why are you doing that?
Sometimes some people just don't realize there's an alternative. And
I think that's got to be part of it, right? They don't know.
Yeah, they just don't know. And, there's also, just in the logistics world, there's relationships with carriers and maybe even brokers that go back, over the years, that there's just a comfort level, and not realizing that you need to kind of ask the questions of, why are we doing things the way we're doing it? And I think that's where we really step out and really take, I don't know if it's a it is a responsibility to make sure that we inform and educate our clients as to why we recommend things move in a particular way. I mean, I'll give you, an example with our tech stack when it gets to talk about our API integrations into like a dealer website. Somebody's trying to ship a Ferrari off a dealer's website. They want to buy it, and they want to ship it through us. It has to go enclosed. We don't even give them an open option. So there's some of that forced.
I think that's a good idea.
Action. Yeah,
I think that's more of what needs to happen, right? Listen,
Agreed.
You can't. We're not going to dude, come on. You can't ship a new Ghost on a 9-car open. You can't. We're not going to let you.
No.
We're just not taking that.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we just want to sort of lead them down that right path so that we have the outcome that they desperately need, but they may not desperately know.
You were talking about, I think you were talking about low clearance, right? On those enclosed trailers. Yeah,
Yep.
Your ramps are different. What you're doing, how you're loading. And you get those, I don't know how many times have we heard of a low clearance, and they're out there with 2x4s trying to create that slow arc, not to scratch the undercarriage. It's not.
Or they don't even think about it, and they take that Dodge Viper from years ago and you just load it, and next thing you know, you're about halfway on and you're in trouble. I mean, it's so some of it's not only being closed, but then it goes into, and Michael alluded a little bit about like our carrier vetting, how we make sure that when we bring somebody into our network of carriers, that we've done our due diligence to make sure they know what they're doing. Because not all carriers are created equally. And so, yeah, it's a it can be a very challenging activity, especially with low clearance, if you are not fully aware of, what you're doing or have the equipment to even handle it in the first place.
How often does a car coming off an open carrier that's gone cross country, somebody said, can you run it through the car wash? Think of all the crap that landed on that car. You're okay with that? Yeah. On your soft-sided, one-of-a-kind, 200K Sebring or whatever you got there. I mean, what? Again, it's almost like, okay, we can't talk you in enclosed. You have to watch this 5-minute video before we will let you sign with the open carrier.
Yeah, and then say, we're going to make you sign 50
Directed
waivers.
by Stanley Kubrick. You're going to love this. Here we go, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost worth saying no to the move because it's just too, because then our reputation is on the line as well. If we let that happen, I mean, we'd much rather say, look, this is what we almost demand that we do with this vehicle. And if not, you know, it's okay. You're not going to hurt our feelings if you go somewhere else.
And
But
you will you'll be able to go somewhere else. This is
oh,
auto
sure.
transport. Oh yeah, you'll get
Absolutely.
10 companies ready to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the other thing I'll mention too, from an industry standpoint, enclosed carriers over the years, the number of carriers has really shrunk. And so that population of carriers is much smaller than it was 10, 15 years ago. And that goes back to also the carrier thing. Smaller population, harder to find. You get the relationships, which we have, so that, we've done the heavy lift to not only find them, but vet them and make sure that they're worthy of these types of vehicles. So it's not just like you can Google an enclosed carrier. For the most part, no, that's not going to happen to find these guys. You really need a partner like us to help guide that conversation and that selection.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, which is where, because I do want to talk about how, I talk car hauling a lot. I don't always have great things to say about some companies that are brokers and things. I admit it. Anybody watching the show is like, hey, he's talking to brokers. Well, listen, that's part of it, is that I welcome anybody who is a professional and trying to do the best they can. And this industry does need great brokers, because shippers are relying on brokers to navigate and get the car shipped. A lot of times they don't even know how to reach an equipment car hauler. But I do want to ask this before we go on. All right, in the live chat, Charles asks, so a $500,000 car needs $500,000 motor cargo insurance. What does that policy look like? And is he right about that? Yeah.
You got it, Eugene, or you want me to?
Yeah. No. I'll take it. So first of all, yes, you want on a $500,000 car, you want a total coverage of $500,000 or more. So what you need to be looking at is how much insurance is the carrier actually carrying, right? And then you can get, and this is again what we will insist on with many clients, you can buy supplementary insurance. This is not something that many brokers are doing, but we are insisting on this. Like Dean was saying, if somebody wants us to carry a $500,000 or $1 million car, because again, we understand that if the carrier only has the typical $250,000 of insurance, and they're carrying maybe your car and a bike, and God forbid they get into an accident, and then the car gets it doesn't even have to get totaled. It can basically get scratched up to the point where you have to order the parts from the OEM. That's going to run easily into hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if the car is still running.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to make sure that the total insurance coverage that you have, including supplemental insurance.
And it's less expensive, I guess, than people think, I would say, right? Basically.
It's much less expensive than what you would imagine, again. Yeah.
And is that called a rider?
It's not a rider per se. No, it's literally called, it is supplementary insurance, because you have the basic coverage, usually $250 for the carriers, and then this is just supplementary. It's contingent, basically, right? Like basically it goes on top of the insurance one, so it just kicks in. So you basically buy additional $250 of insurance for this single ride, right? You're not buying insurance for a year. You buy insurance for a day, basically.
Ah, oh, okay, that's interesting. This gets into an insurance conversation, which is another time perhaps, but that is interesting. And the insurance, just navigating insurance. But good, very good question, Charles. Thanks for asking it. If you have a follow-up or anything, please do let us know. Go back to the chat here. Okay, so by the way, Shad Baxter says, great job.
Hey, Shad.
Direct.
Hey, Shad. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Then, okay, so D-Bird says, are these guys brokers? I'm considering enclosed 7 car. and I think he sounds like a carrier, right? He's considering moving into an enclosed 7 car. Do you want to give any advice to carriers about enclosed car hauling, or what's some industry insider information here?
I think, like we've been saying here, make sure you understand what you're signing up for. Now, an enclosed trailer can carry a Honda Civic all day long, but the idea of having that type of equipment that's going to probably, is going to be more designed for the higher end vehicles. Just do your homework. I would recommend getting somebody to mentor you that's been in the industry, so you really truly understand, what are the differences with, loading a Ferrari versus that Honda Civic. So, that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Did I interrupt somebody? Okay, so I am curious. Like, let's say I wanted to grow an enclosed car hauling business. How would I do that? Do I look for car collectors? Do I go hang out in Miami?
So I think, first of all, the first piece of advice I would give is you have to be super. This is the sort of rare air, right? It's you have to be a super professional in. So maybe you should not start out with that, but get some experience working for someone who's really good, or maybe on an open trailer. I don't know where you would get that experience, but what's really in short supply in this industry are drivers who have experience specifically with enclosed, who are very good with customers, who are very, who will sort of take care about the little details, the straps, the making sure the car is washed when it arrives. So like the customer focused elements that are so important. And like somebody, I don't remember who said, but even in an industry that's otherwise crowded, there is always room at the top. If you become great at offering these things that other drivers perhaps aren't, other carriers perhaps aren't paying that kind of attention to, to us as a broker, it's so easy to tell within a minute of speaking to somebody. Are you focused on details? Are you customer facing, and how are your customer sort of skills? Are you the kind of person that we would trust with a $500,000 or $1 million car? And so these are the things that I would kind of recommend.
And in slightly, I guess, orthogonal fashion, right? Like we keep talking about cars and expensive cars. There's also a segment that's very nuanced, right? It requires a lot of attention to detail. For example, we transport, bikes and e-bikes. We transport like ATVs and UTVs, specialty golf carts, and those require quite a bit of like kind of unique knowledge in a sense, right? How the hell do you actually fix them? How do you secure them? What's needed? How you position them? So it's not only about smiling and taking a shower once in a while and wearing a white glove or two. It's also about knowing how to fix those things and make sure they don't move as you're driving and they arrive correctly.
You were making me think of I'll see a couple guys with a lot of detailing equipment go to a residence. They're detailing a car for an hour or so. So it's almost a mix of having that detailing knowledge and then having, I don't know if it's driving and mechanic knowledge to know, because you got to know how to treat these cars too, right? Just right.
Absolutely, especially the collectors, the kinds that are very rare, and they may have some nuance. Plus you've got some vehicles that don't even run and they're in ops, but they're they have value. How do you handle the in-op? How do you get that on your trailer? If all the car can do is brake and steer, that takes another skill set to be able to manage that. So, yeah, it's a complicated space, and it takes somebody that can, just has that experience and understanding, like you just said, Jay. Maybe it is from a mechanical, how things work perspective. to be able to handle these kind of unique situations because they do occur.
And you also have electric cars. I mean, I know Eugene has some examples with Teslas that are locked, can be moved, need a special code, and the owner is AWOL. So what the hell do you do there? I mean, you kind of need to.
One of many things that happen. Yes, real life
Yes,
example.
that's a real life example.
Yes, and I've heard of that too, as far as like driving mode or transport mode and all these things. And I've heard, yes, I've been on the phone with drivers who are like, man, I don't even know how do you shift this thing, because it's just some old European vintage. Oh, we got another here. We got one more question here. Charles has a follow-up. Do the enclosed cars normally move in packs, or are they one pick, one drop? Good question, Charles.
It really depends on the equipment that the driver's, using. I'd say a lot of them are single pick, single drop trailers. Some are extended where they can handle more than one car. But I know at least with the fleets that we operate with, it's generally one pick, one drop.
Right, and it seems like that's what I've mostly seen. I mean, you do have larger companies. That brings us to hard side versus soft side. I saw a LinkedIn post from a company earlier today that was talking about make sure you ask hard side or soft side when it comes to enclosed. Who wants to talk more about that?
Sure.
And what that means. What does that mean?
Yeah, I worked for a carrier numbers of years ago, and we had a pretty good sized enclosed fleet that was soft sided. And really the biggest difference is really just that. Hard side is like the trailers that we use today. They are rigid, solid walls, right? A soft-sided enclosed carrier trailer is literally more like tarps that are secured, right? So, yes, for the most part, the tarps are preventing debris. I would say it minimizes a percentage of it, but those are flapping tarps going down the highway, which means there's going to be openings and opportunities for something to happen if it, So hard-sided is really the most secure method to move from a enclosed perspective. But soft-sided is I would call it it's a better alternative than open, but it's not, the most secure, which would be hard-side.
When it comes to open carriers, a one-car hauler isn't usually what you have in mind as far as running a business. But if you have a one-car enclosed, is that a business?
Sure. I mean, because that trailer, it can hold the car itself. They may also be able to place a motorcycle or some sort of a smaller footprint on there as well, and properly secured. All of the cargo is not going to be in jeopardy. It's not like you're just rolling a bike on there and letting it go. It's being secured to the side of the trailer. So that's where they can make up some of the unit economics of only having one load. So they do have that opportunity to bring on additional items that are, smaller footprint but still generate good revenue.
A lot of the guys who are doing hotshot hauling are, in fact, doing it with a trailer, which is a single car or two cars maybe. So that does exist. It's just but that is truly a business model probably for somebody who just wants to do hot shots.
Right. Yeah. They're hauling with a dually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. 1 or 2 car enclosed.
Probably not going more than about 300 miles.
That's what I was
staying very regional, right, so that they can get back and get another load.
Yeah.
We've already been here 40 minutes. I think we covered a lot. I thought this was really an interesting conversation. And for anyone that, whether you're a dealer, car collector, or you just bought some brand new Powersports equipment, right? You were talking Powersports.
Yep.
Because I know as a dispatcher, I've talked to drivers that are like trying to load a motorcycle without any motorcycle. What do you call the stands? What do you call that? How do you secure a motorcycle? What do you use?
Yeah, you could do one of two ways. There are motorcycle stands you can secure it to, and then you've got the ability with straps to secure it to the wall of the trailer. It depends on the bike, but again, that's where you make sure you're picking the right provider that understands all those nuances.
Is it easy to strap a motorcycle to a wedge open trailer?
No, not at all.
I don't even
I
know
mean, it
where,
can be done,
right.
but yeah, no, if you can just imagine that image in your mind right now, it's not one that I would
And as
Can
the
recommend.
you
owner,
like
you
use
want
Scotch tape just
to, right?
to
And as the owner, you're watching this.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where you would just have them sign the inspection and, leave the room or something of that nature, which that really isn't good either, because they need to be there to witness what's going on, which is a whole other topic of the conversation around documentation and
Right.
protecting the interest of the owner. Yeah.
Well, and again, yeah, like to not consider thinking what your new Lambo customer is going to feel like seeing that thing come off next to a salvage auto auction car. Okay.
Yeah.
It dilutes your brand image. You spend millions of dollars building out a beautiful showroom. You have highly paid salespeople on the floor. You're serving your customers espressos and cigars when they buy the car, and then it arrives, looking like just the end of the world, right? And on top, best case scenario of an open trailer, it's dirty. What does that do to how the customer? This is, by the way, the last thing that the customer is going to remember about the whole experience. They might have gone through the whole experience and it was beautiful and they found the right car at the right price and everything went well. But the last thing they're going to remember is their beautiful car arriving covered in inches and inches of grime, coming off of an open trailer, with nicks and on the paint. This is what you're doing to your own brand. So it just makes like zero sense to do that from a business perspective.
And speaking of nicks, I mean, how much does it cost to fix a little nick on a Ferrari there, Eugene? I mean,
Well, it cost me
$170,000. There you go.
For a Ferrari that was being shipped. Yeah,
it was like more than a nick, but still.
No, but
it was more than a
but
nick.
still.
But yeah, because I was a partner in a carrier that we got into this kind of problem, and we wanted to make sure that we were being kind of responsible for the work that we were doing. I ended up spending $170,000 to fix a 2015 Ferrari 458 Speciale, which is like one of 500 ever made.
Wow. And full disclosure is that you want to work with somebody who has felt this pain.
Yes.
If you, that should be a first question as a first-time shipper. Have you ever felt the pain of car shipping personally?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, keep them on the phone.
Yeah, we'd be great. We'll be your therapist when it comes to shipping.
No,
Right.
but we'll also try to make sure that it doesn't happen. I mean, I know
That's
that this
right.
is kind of a cliche that gets thrown out a lot. Kind of like, oh, we want to be your partner and we're in for the long haul, etc. And that's almost become like something that everybody says. We want to be your long-term partner. But in terms of what does that actually mean? What does it actually entail from the point of view of the relationship that you're building? I was talking to not to, kind of make too fine of a point of it, but I was talking to one of our business development reps, and she was telling us about a client, and she said she has a car stock. This is not a prospective client, and she said she has a car stock in North Dakota that she hasn't been able to move in 2 weeks. And I said, well, did you offer her a solution? Well, no, and the business development rep said no, not yet, because they're not a client. I said the way you make them a client is by listening to what their pain is, what is the problem that they're dealing with right now, and I said I don't care if we don't make any money on this. Help her move the car, and that's the kind of sort of attitude that I think that people understand. Okay, they're going to be dealing with me on a basis where they as a partner are trying to solve my pain points, not just trying to, maximize the margin on every single transaction that you do.
Well, and that's why we've spent 45 minutes talking about enclosed shipping rather than advertising a product or service.
Correct.
However, let's now take that moment. If somebody wants to contact you, your company is Car Haul Direct. The website is carhauldirect.com. I put it in the live chat. Is there a phone number? I like to give phone numbers. Is there an 800 number or anything?
Yes, yes, of course. Does anybody remember it offhand, guys?
People,
It's
yeah,
on the web-
I'm
it's on the
Googling our
website.
own website. That's
Google it. It's on
probably
the
not-
website. I never
Okay, it's
follow.
8. That phone number is 888-884-5430. That is 888-884-5430. And by the way, if you want to reach any one of us, it's our first name at carhauldirect.com. So Eugene at Carhaul Direct, Michael at or Dean at Carhaul Direct. We like to know our customers personally. We like to know our shippers personally. We're very hands-on. And like I said, we're trying to develop quality partnerships where we're sharing in the good times, but as well as the problems that invariably do come up.
Well, we fix problems. We don't necessarily create them. So we fix the problems and we create good times.
Well said. I mean, that's the thing is, as a dispatcher, again, luckily I got to do that. It was a really hard job. It's difficult because you're constantly trying to fix problems while a truck is moving.
Right.
That's one of the other problems. I mean, the truck is already moving. So every hour you're losing time, whether you're trying to book a load, deliver a load, negotiate with a customer, educate a customer. There's nothing worse than trying to educate a customer and the driver's like, do I have it or not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're still on,
Very true.
Yeah. And then I like what you said, Eugene, about you got the cigar and the champagne and it's all this high roller stuff. And then you watch that thing get delivered, and you just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a premium luxury experience, which is when you're going to, by definition, when you're going to buy a car for $200,000-$400,000 and upwards, you're shopping for a luxury experience, and that has to come in every part of the experience, not just after you drop the money, not just after you write the check. Because that's just going to leave you with a bad taste in your mouth. I know it. I know for me, I would never go. If that happened to me, and that's how my sports car was delivered, I would never go back to that dealership. I just wouldn't.
And best case scenario is you're only left with a negative feeling. Worst case scenario, your car is a mess.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're into an insurance disaster, and you haven't even driven the thing.
Correct. Exactly.
That's true.
It's for $500.
That's right.
That makes no sense. Serve cheaper coffee. I don't know, right? Skip the hot dog holiday. All right, gentlemen. Eugene, Michael, Dean, thank you so much for your time and information tonight. This was a great show. I hope that people reach out to you. If you do reach out to these gentlemen, please say, I saw you guys on ATI Auto Business, but it's not required.
Jay, by the way, do you know you have great dispatcher voice? I don't know if
really?
anybody ever told you that, but you just have a phenomenal dispatcher voice.
Wow. Thank you. Well, the truth is, people at times have said you got a radio voice, and I'm like, well, I'm already trying to make video, so I appreciate that, and I'll,
dispatcher and radio are kind of like the same requirements.
Dispatch, right? I'll take it. Thank you. I appreciate every compliment I can get. Oh, you know what? That deserves. I didn't even think I used this. There's my applause button.
Nice. Very nice.
So, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. This was a great show, and let me know if there's anything I can do. Let's be in touch. I'll let you go, okay?
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Okay.
Have a good night. Thank you so much.
You too.
Cheers.
All right, cheers. And I let him go just like that. It's the end of another ATI Auto Business show. If you have an idea for a show, you know how to get a hold of me. It's my old email address, autotransportintel@gmail.com. I never changed it. I didn't need to. Some people are like, why do you still have a Gmail? Well, I don't have a big budget. This isn't some big fancy studio. So I still have a Gmail. Visit my channel on YouTube, ATI Auto Business. You can find me on LinkedIn. You know, and if you agree or disagree with something I say or the way I say something, let me just say this. You know that we live in a world now where we are used to just lots of fancy stuff that we don't really believe in. We know it's not true. So I try to make this channel in automotive that still has truth, information, education, some promotion. But if something is just total nonsense, I'm gonna say something, man. You know, just because this is automotive and this is a tough industry. And I know there's other tough industries too, where, we got to say one thing, but we're trying to do another, and we don't want anybody to know, and we're actually really nice people, but our company still rips off our employees, or whatever it is. We still can, you can still do business and be truthful. Treat others the way you want to be treated. So again, if you disagree with something I said, and you see it, and you want to call me on it, feel free to do so. I'll explain why I said it. And I keep saying things that, man, somebody's got to be the opposition, and I guess it's me. I'm the neutral zone. I'm Jay. This is ATI Auto Business. Thank you for watching. Again, I really do appreciate the gentleman tonight. This was an informative show to help businesses think it through. So please do that. Let me know if I can help. All right, here comes a splash. Have a good night. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.